I received a phone call from my primary care physician and said, "Jim, I need to see you immediately." And it happened to be the day we were dismissing for the Christmas break. I was at Berkmar High at the time, and I said, "Whatever you got to tell me, just tell me over the phone. There's no way I can leave." He said, "Are you sure I can tell you this over the phone?" I said, "Sure. I've been to war. Nothing will bother me." He said, "Okay, are you sitting down?" I said, "No, come on, man, just give it to me." He said, "Well, Jim, you got cancer and it doesn't look good." So I hung up the phone. I was in shock. Everything that you read about in the books was going through my mind. First I was angry, then I went through denial. Then my secretary came in and said, "Jim, what in the world's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, I got cancer. It doesn't look good." And, you know, it just stunned her. And I said, "I guess I better call Ruth." And she said, "You better go tell her." So I went over to B.B. Harris. I called her principal on the cell phone, and she had her waiting in the lobby. And she said, "Honey, what's wrong?" I said, "All I know is I have cancer, and they say it doesn't look good." And we met our doctor for the first time, and he took us back to his office. He said, "Well, I've looked at your blood work, I've looked at your x-rays and your MRI." He said, "It is cancer. There are 12 active tumors." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "Well, you have multiple myeloma type D." And I didn't even know what multiple myeloma was. I wasn't sure it was cancer. He said, "Oh yeah, it's a bone marrow cancer, and it is stage 4. The next day, we went to Emory to meet with the bone marrow specialist. He came in and he looked at me and he said, "Well, I can tell you without examining you, you're not a candidate." He said, "You're too far gone." He said, "You're going to die." And I said, "Die? Hadn't anybody mentioned that?" He said, "Well, you are." He said, "You have between 27 and 36 months to live." Well, that got our attention. We left there and we drove home from Emory. We live in Braselton, and in total silence. There was no conversation until we got home. And I said, "Well, I don't think that's an accurate assessment." And Ruth said, "Well, let's make it that way." So we contacted our physician. We started on the chemo, and the chemo was dangerous, very dangerous chemo. And we began the radiation treatment sometime 4 a day, and had a total of 39 radiation treatments. In the second hospitalization in February of '97, the doctor told us that he wasn't sure I would make it through the night, that they felt organ failure would occur during that night. So they called for a priest. I had last rites that night, and I drifted off to sleep. My wife stayed in the room. I woke up about 2 a.m. I was about as hungry as I've ever been in my entire life. I felt fine. I pushed the button and I said, "Hello," and the lady said, "Yes, Mrs. Markum." I said, "No, this is Mr. Markum." And she said, "You're alive? You will kill yourself if you allow yourself to give in to cancer. You have to talk to yourself every day, and you've got to weigh the positive aspects of your life. If everything is negative, this stuff will beat you." Cancer sort of dominated the day, every single day for the first couple of years. And all during chemo, I dreaded the time when you had to plug up the pump because I knew what was happening, and I knew what would happen in the week after chemo. And so one morning I was in the shower, and I reached out the drain and pulled out just a whole glob of hair. And I sat down in the shower and started crying. I was bawling crocodile tears. And Ruth said, "Honey, what's wrong?" I said, "I lost my hair." And she said, "If that's all we lose in this process, Jim Markum, you will have won a humongous victory." And then she looked at me and she said, "But God, I hope that hair will grow back, because you are painfully ugly without hair." And now there are days when I still think about the war every day, but I have days when I don't think about cancer one bit. And then I have days where I'll get a little ache or a pain. I'll hurt in the back, I'll hurt in the leg, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, "Oh my gosh, the cancer's back." I would say that the experience has taught me patience to a degree, and it has reinforced positive thinking. Yeah, I thought that I was going to survive the war, and I thought from the get-go that I was going to survive this cancer. And the reality is that I've been living with this stuff now since December of '96, and I plan on living with it for the rest of my life. What has surprised me the most about the whole experience is it's the mental aspect of dealing with cancer. And the most frequent comment made to most cancer patients is, you don't look like you have cancer, and how do you deal with that statement? Now, I currently serve as the principal of Mill Creek High School in Braselton, and I am just about to finish my 40th year in education. People frequently ask me if I'm retiring this year. And I guess my last words would be, no sir, I have no intention of retiring. I enjoy what I do. I drive to work every day laughing because I get paid to do this job. And when in reality I would probably pay the district to let me do it.